call this regular meeting of the City Council to order. For the record, today is Monday, August 18th, 2025. We have council members attending in person and via Zoom. So for the record, I have Councilman Waldron, Councilman Iveyne, Councilwoman Spino, Councilman Cavanero, and participating via Zoom, I see Councilwoman Ruette. It is now 6:29 p.m. If we could stand and pledge the flag, that would, it'll be 6:30 before we sit down. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands. Okay. We will jump into item number 1. I will entertain a motion to open the meeting to the public.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Spino.
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Cavanero. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Anyone from the public wishing to address the board this evening? All right, seeing none, I'm going to move into item number 2. I'll take this in 2 parts. 2A, I'll entertain a motion to accept the public hearing meeting minutes of August 4th, 2025.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Iveyne.
Second.
And seconded by Councilwoman Spino. Questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 2B, I'll entertain a motion to accept the regular meeting minutes from August 4th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Iveyne. Seconded by Councilwoman Spino. Questions or comments on these minutes? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 3, I will entertain a motion to authorize Corporation Counsel to retain the services of the law firm Cowdery, Murphy, and Healy LLC to conduct a background investigation as required by the Police Officer Standards and Training Council in connection with the recertification of a Torrington police officer.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Iveyne.
Yep.
And seconded by Councilwoman Spino. And the floor is open for questions. You want to, yeah, so Corporation Counsel can fill you in on
Only
this.
that, my view of this was not that I was going to be the hiring entity, but that you were on behalf of the city.
Yeah, we can change that motion.
That'd be better.
Okay. So the motion I called was to authorize the Corporation Counsel to retain the law firm. Let's change that to authorize the mayor to retain the law firm of Cowdery, Murphy, Healy. Councilman Iveyne, you made that motion?
So
would you?
amended,
Thank
yes.
you. And you'll amend the second?
Yep.
Okay, good. Duly noted.
Thank you.
No, thank you. All right, if there are no questions, I'll call the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 4, I will entertain a motion to approve the allocation of cannabis revenue funds that are allowable under Connecticut General Statutes, Section 12-330, MM, subsection B, subsection A, subsection 5, in the amount of $50,000 to the Police Activity League, or PAL, as we affectionately refer to them, and the sum of $95,000 to be allocated to the Torrington Youth Service Bureau in accordance with Connecticut General Sections 10-190, subsection A, subsection B.
So moved.
So moved.
Councilman Iveyne, seconded by Councilwoman Ruette. And I see that our representatives from PAL are here. I don't know, Chris or Sam, if you just want to share some of the great things that you guys have been doing for the kids.
Well, thank you. Yes, it's been a great summer. We run 6 camps during the summertime. We run our Cops and Kids event, which is up at Bessie Pond. We invite anyone who wants to come to go swimming. We have a food truck there that we pay for, and we allow all the kids and their parents to have dinner. And just this past Saturday, we had our backpack giveaway where we gave away close to 1,100 backpacks filled with school supplies. We had other events down in the park too. We're giving the kids hot dogs and I don't know, a lot of games to play and things like that. It was a really nice community event. And everybody was very appreciative of what was going on. All our other programs are, pretty much the same. We play basketball probably 9 out of the 12 months of the year. We offer it to children from K to 12. And I'll entertain any questions if you have any of Pal.
What's the cost to the kids or families to participate?
Well, it matters what program that we're talking to. First of all, no child is left behind because they can't make a payment or can't register. We take care of that for kids.
Great.
And our costs are very low compared to other camps and things that are going on, not only in town, but, around the state. We keep it very manageable for employees or for citizens and people that participate.
Thank you.
Are there other questions? And I think the only thing that I would add is over the years, certainly over the last 12 years, some of the things I've appreciated most in the partnership with PAL is that they are doing real outreach to families in need. They're making connections not only with the kids and the schools, but with their parents and providing resources, connecting them to other resources in the community, building relationships between the police department and these families, and introducing new programs. I think I've seen lacrosse
Yes,
camps. I think you've been up at Foreman doing cooking classes and.
right. That's one of our camps during the summers, we have a culinary camp, 2 culinary camps, a novice and an advanced, and we hold that up at Foreman School. We have our Make the Play basketball camp that was just last week in the blistering heat up at the intermediate school. We have a trade camp that's going on this week. It's at Oliver Wolcott. We take 30 kids, we bring them in, we introduce them to most of the trades. Let's see, golf. I think that's it.
Yeah.
But
Well-
I think the importance of the trade camp is to get these kids interested in doing some work with the trades. Not every child is college bound. And what a great place, what a great school we have in Torrington that offers that. So it's been working out. We have a good relationship with both Torrington Public Schools and OWTS. So,
Yeah. Great work.
and all our camps sell out every year.
Yeah.
We're sold out.
I think my favorite was CSI, and I got a chance to meet Dr. Henry Lee.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Henry Lee came up.
Yeah. All right.
All
So
right.
if there are no questions for Chris, and there are no questions to the motion, then, I'm sorry, I do have additional information. Councilwoman Spino did reach out to me and questioned the allocation for the Torrington Youth Service Bureau. The backup documentation that I had provided spoke about the statutory match that we are required to provide. That was only 35,000. The other 60,000 would be used to offset the cost of prevention staff salary budget line item. They did hire a social worker. I've met him. He's a great young guy. And a lot of that work that the Youth Service Bureau is doing is in the Juvenile Justice Board. And if none of you have had a chance to see that board in action, where they're actually sitting with young people who are at risk of because of a criminal activity or some other activity that could result in their incarceration. They're doing redirection, they're doing counseling, they're doing, and I know that our police department also sits on that board. So you can see this cannabis revenue was specifically designed to address prevention methods. I felt last year and this year that it was the PAL program and our Youth Service Bureau that are doing that work best in this area.
Yeah, I'm in the dark on this. This is a position that is a standalone position related to the cannabis proposal or?
So this would be a position that's employed in the Youth Service Bureau, not by the city of Torrington. So these funds would be granted to the Youth Service Bureau. By statute, the city of Torrington is required to match the grant that the state provides to the Youth Service Bureau for those activities I just described, juvenile justice, juvenile review board. And for them to do that work here in the city of Torrington, they recognize that they needed additional staff.
And
So
who
this
does
is a social worker.
Who does the hiring and
Uh,
supervision of this?
It's through the Youth Service Bureau, but I think it's actually the YMCA that does the hiring for that position. This is a position that the council did agree to fund last year, but it was only for half the year.
Okay, all right. But this person does this full-time?
Yes, full-time in Torrington, right.
At some point, I'd just like to know,
Do you want to report?
officially, just officially where this position sits,
Yep.
you know, and who, essentially where the performance review is. I mean, just, somebody's got to be looking at positions and seeing, are they doing what they're supposed to be doing? Are the people they're supposed to be benefiting, are they benefiting the way they're supposed to?
Yes, yeah.
I have no knowledge that it's not happening, but I would just like a little bit more structure to this position.
Some accountability for the funds when we'd pass them in. Yeah. So I can certainly reach out to Kathy Ohm. She has been before the council in the past. She's done quite a bit. I am looking at Councilwoman Ruette, I think.
But just knowing, and I will continue to call her Katerina because that's how I knew her. But Kathy Ohm, as the executive director of the Torrington Youth Service Bureau, she's amazing. So I would think the position would report directly to her. And they make a dollar stretch. I think it, you know, to your point, Paul, it might be great to hear who this position reports to, but I'm assuming it would be to Kathy. But maybe I'm making that assumption, but I'm sure she'd be willing to come and speak more about this. She's an amazing leader of that organization, and you know, they do incredible work with very little money. And Chris, I just wanted,
I'd like to
yeah.
just, again,
Sure.
emphasize the fact that I am not asking this from any kind of critical perspective whatsoever. I
Right.
simply don't know. And I know very often as a city councilman, I'm sure my other city fellow councilmen are asked this as well, where, you know, any of this grant money, how do we know where it's being spent, and how it's
Sure.
being spent?
Yeah.
You know, just to say, I don't know.
I think it's a reasonable request, I
Yeah.
think, because as I said, the funds were used, it was only half a year.
Right.
By the time they were hiring last year. So there would be some good information that can come to report, what did this individual do? What were the hours? Who did they meet with? So I can actually ask Kathy if she can come to the next council meeting and do a brief presentation.
Whatever.
Good. Yeah, no, I'm happy to do that.
and Mayor, I just wanted to thank Chris for all of his work in his second chapter of his career. I know that you don't volunteer. I don't know if you receive any compensation. I don't really care, but you are really a gift to our community, and thank you for your work.
Thank you. Thank you. And thanks again to the city council for this very generous donation. Fundraising is tough. And most of all of our programs, everything we do is based on fundraising. And it is getting harder and harder as the years go on. So this is a big boost and a big help each year, and we appreciate it.
If there are no other questions, I'm going to call this motion. Just as a reminder, the motion was made by Councilman Iveyne and seconded by Councilwoman Ruette. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Good to see you, Sam. All right, we'll move into item number 5. I will entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 143-275. The Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, DEEP, Trees for Communities Grant Program.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Iveyne, and seconded by Councilman Cavanero. And I think I saw Nate. Nate did sign on to answer questions if there are questions from the council.
Yeah, I'm on. Again, yeah, this is Nate Nardi Cyrus, Assistant City Planner for the record. Apologize that my video is not working today, but happy to answer any questions. The main point is that this is a 0% match grant to DEEP that's specifically targeted at distressed communities. And so I think this would be a great advantage for our Public Works Department to be able to help improve their management of the city's urban trees, help increase the number of trees where it makes sense and manage them better. And again, so hopefully if awarded, there'd be no city matching funds required for this grant, and that the land use department would manage the grant on behalf of Public Works.
Thank you, Nate. Are there questions?
Yes. Nate, is this citywide or is this in specific zones?
So yeah, it is not citywide, given the rural nature of a lot of the city. This is the quotes that we've gotten would cover about 4,000 trees near the city center. So we did kind of scope a map that would include the right of way and parks up through the end of East Main Street toward New Hartford, and kind of the down to the main core area, and then up Winstead Road a little bit, and then down South Main. So it would really be that kind of core business and downtown area primarily, and parkland.
Okay. Can we use it to replace some older trees that may be hazards? Is there a plan specifically, or do we get the monies first and then plan out where to allocate the trees throughout the city?
Yeah, so this grant will help us achieve our obligation under a fairly new ordinance that was passed by council in 2023, requiring that the city prepare and maintain a long-range comprehensive strategic plan for the administration and management of a community forest program. So it's an inventory, so that would be counting what is there, and also potential locations where there would be room to add new trees, and categorizing that and mapping all of that. And then the second part would be creating a management plan to direct resources towards specific areas of town. Part of that inventory is identifying which trees are hazardous, which trees are, need more care and pruning and all that. And so the management plan just kind of takes all of that data and translates it into something that's useful for our Public Works Department. Another big part of this is that it's through an urban sort of equity funding pot, and so this is targeted at community disadvantaged census tracts within the city, and so there's going to be a significant public outreach component where those communities are going to be engaged, looking at making connections with faith-based groups in the downtown area. And so that way we make sure that a lot of those comments are incorporated into what kind of trees are planted, where they're planted, just to give a voice to people who are, going to be in the area where there's tree plantings.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Nate? All right, I'll call this motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Item 6, I'll entertain a motion by the City Council here and acting as a Water Pollution Control Authority to approve the following payments from Fund 490. We're looking for payment of an invoice number 245504 to Wright Pierce Engineers, $435.36. Invoice 245502, again to Wright Pierce, in the amount of $12,196.96. And invoice number 2000 to Yield Industries in the sum of $47,100.
So moved.
So
Thank you,
moved.
Councilman Iveyne. I heard a second from Councilwoman Ruette. And are there questions or comments?
The sinkhole bridge allocation, can you explain the project work specifically on that one? It's not the tunnel,
Yes,
Is-
that's the tunnel.
well, or is it just covering
call it-
the sewer pipe replacement?
Yeah, so we're separating the force main from the tunnel project.
Right,
They're gonna be separated.
okay,
But currently, as the projects sit, we're paying for the design under that project name. because
Okay.
That just recently.
Yeah, I thought the tunnel would cost a little more, so,
It would definitely cost a little more. That's partial payment for some of the design, yeah.
okay, thought so. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions for Ed? Hearing none, I'll call it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ed. Item number 7, I'll entertain a motion by City Council acting herein as a Water Pollution Control Authority to accept recommendation of the WPCA Administrator and the purchasing agent to award the purchase of a Viper G70GV370 CFM-125 PSI 24.9 EFI gas air compressor to Universal Body and Equipment of Watertown, Connecticut, in the amount of $11,408.20. This will be paid from Fund Number 5350, as further explained in the Administrator's memo dated August 11th, 2025.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Iveyne, seconded by Councilwoman Spino. And we're open to questions, if there are any.
Just, can we have just a description what the Viper air compressor does?
So there's a truck set up for the collections crew, the crew that works out on the road, that's set up with a mixer on it. This is the air compressor unit. It's way past its lifespan, and it's dead, so we're looking to replace that. We went out to bid twice. These companies aren't really willing to do our bonding required when we go out to bid for this amount. I know it seems like a lot to us, but it's not a lot for a lot of the items that we have to be out there purchasing today. So we took 3 proposals, and so the request is we're gonna go with the low proposal.
Okay. You're okay with the selection?
Yeah, it's
You know,
it's a replacement, a piece of equipment than what we had. It's the same piece of equipment.
Okay,
It's over 15 years old.
that's the relative lifespan of that type of equipment?
Currently.
Okay. Thanks, Ed.
Any other questions for Ed? I'll call it. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 8, I'll entertain a motion to authorize the IT department to update the current wide area network data connections between City Hall, Fire Headquarters, and Police Headquarters to Frontiers ELAN service as offered under the State of Connecticut contract number 18 PSX 0025AB, as further explained in the IT Director's memo, which is dated August 13th, 2025.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Iveyne,
Second.
and second by Councilwoman Spino. And are there questions?
Yes. Is this an increase to what we're paying right now?
Hi. In total, it's an increase of $200. The individual connections, the one from the city hall to the firehouse costs us $1,000. The connection from the police department to the firehouse costs us $1,000. So it's $2,000 for those 2 connections. The new product is less expensive. It's $860 per leg. So there's a savings there, but we're also taking the opportunity to increase the ELAN circuit that's at the firehouse right now, which is set for 200 megabit, which takes the data from all the other sites that we have. We're going to increase that one to 1 gigabit. So the net change is going to be a plus $200 more per month, but it gives us better throughput for all the sites and also puts us on the same technology as the police and city hall.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Jerry? Thank you, Jerry. I'll call this one. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. All right, item number 9, I will entertain a motion to approve the request of 1355 East Main Street LLC and grant a tax abatement for certain real property located at 44 Battelle Street in accordance with the City of Torrington's tax incentive policy as described in the Economic Development Director's letter dated August 18th, 2025. Thank you, Councilwoman Spino. Do I have a second?
Second.
and a second by Councilman Waldron. All right, the floor is open for questions, and I see that William Wallach has stayed to answer the same questions.
Yes. How does this property qualify for the tax abatement?
So under the tax incentive policy, based on review and discussion with the mayor, discussion with the city planner, we found it qualified under a couple different sections, one being section 2(3)(c), which I believe is for warehousing. That was based on our review of the project. It also qualified under a couple sections under section 5, and those sections are outlined in the memo. I don't have those on the top of my head, though. Unfortunately, I didn't print them off before coming to the meeting.
Okay. So you're saying it qualifies as a warehouse?
So what I'm saying is that it qualifies to be presented to city council for city council to make a determination. So under this tax incentive policy, based on the conversation I had with mayor, conversations I had with the city planner, the assessor, we all agreed that it fit under those classification or under the classification of warehousing in order to be presented to city council for then the city council to take a vote based on our recommendation for qualification. I'm not saying that we uniformly made a determination that it qualifies under that.
Okay, because I'm questioning the qualifications, because I'm saying it's not a warehouse by state statute and what we define a warehouse as. So I'm not sure what category it falls in for us to approve this tax abatement.
So, Mayor, I
Uh,
want to sort of
Councilwoman-
just
I'm
sort of
sorry.
tie in with.
You can let Ann go.
Yeah, before I
sorry, yeah,
ask, hold on,
can't-
before
I
I
can't
ask, so was
see
there anything else,
whoever-
any follow-up
yeah.
question?
No, Ann can
Just,
speak.
okay, good.
Yep.
So I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Councilwoman Ruette.
Yeah, and I'm so sorry because I can't see everybody and I hate being on Zoom, but yeah, and I think to just follow up with Councilwoman Spino's, concern, if it's, we sort of depend on the review of all of you, the Economic Development Director, yourself, William, as well as I was surprised with the tax assessor's review of it as well, that all moved it to this level. It's a storage unit that is in prime property on East Main. We don't have control over what happens in planning and zoning. I've had so many comments from people about what is happening. Why are we putting a storage unit on East Main? So now we're also trying to give them a tax abatement. So I think historically, my vote has always been very concerning about any tax abatement, but specifically for this one. So I will be voting no.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Evans, you said,
Yeah, can you just bring us through the tax incentives? Why would we consider a tax abatement for this type of property? Generally, historically, we've backed into it. It's a jobs opportunity. It's a business opportunity. It's a increased flow of clients into the city. There's win-wins, around tax abatements, why we would utilize that. Is there any wins in terms of this type of storage facility?
Right, so that's a great question. So looking at it from this particular project, why would we consider a tax abatement for a project like this? So previous to this project taking place, it was a mostly abandoned vacant property, was a building structure on the site. They were utilizing it for some vehicle maintenance and vehicle, I'm not sure if wrapping or painting is the right term, but some sort of body work on the vehicles that was no longer in operation. And so the owner of the property took on the project to redevelop it into the mini storage, self-storage units that it's being constructed right now. The tax abatement, the property owner submitted a tax abatement application for this project, which any developer, any property owner could certainly do. From the city's side, what we did was we look at what is the project, does it fit within any of the categories outlined in the tax incentive policy? And then do an evaluation of if the project had not taken place, what would be the in perpetuity taxes based off of no project? So a vacant, abandoned building collecting $20,000 in tax revenue on an annual basis. What would be the taxes if a project were completed but no abatement were applied to that project? And I broke that down in the memo for you, which after 10 years, I believe is in the $1.8 million range of tax revenue. And then the third category is, what would be the tax revenue if a tax abatement is applied to the project? And over a 10-year span, if the tax abatement that is in the city's policy were applied, there's about a difference, I believe, of about $600,000 over 10 years. So what that means is, it's just the simple numbers. Those are the numbers. If the tax incentive is applied to a project like this, it creates a scenario, it's likely to create a scenario where the developer is more inclined to take on that project, to do that project, because they know that between the completion of the project and when they get the business up and running and fully occupied, the costs of operations are offset by the reduction in the tax revenue. Don't make an evaluation necessarily, because it's not required on the tax incentive policy, of what the business revenue is going to be. It's just that this is it falls within some scope of the tax policy. It meets some sort of market demand for the city of Torrington. And then, the other categories that are listed, of which one of the categories is that it takes a property that is underutilized or abandoned and revitalizes it and constructs new construction on that property. There are other categories that you pointed out, like job creation, other economic development factors. Not all of those are going to apply to every single project. The tax incentive policy, and to Councilwoman's Ruette's point, the tax incentive policy, it does put a lot of the burden on the city staff to review and evaluate and make a determination whether it should be presented to council. But we don't have a position whether to actually present it or not. If we think that it could fit into a category, the tax policy requires us to present it to city council for review, and then a 30-day window to make a determination whether that policy or that abatement will be applied to this project.
But your recommendation, your letter indicated that you're recommending it. So with that, it's not just a review, it's a recommendation. Correct?
Right, that is correct. And that was, my recommendation is based off of that it is, it would fall within eligibility for under the categories that I listed for an abatement.
Okay, thank you.
I guess-
What is the business?
It's a storage facility,
Would you rent a,
rented out for, yes,
okay.
yeah.
William, is this owned by the Ford dealership across the street?
It is owned by the Ford dealership, the combined Ford, Toyota, and I think they're also affiliated with the Hyundai dealerships across the street, yes.
Okay.
But is the business, is this for individuals to rent space? I mean, it's not associated with the functioning of their?
No.
No, so I don't.
Yeah, but it's a long-term ownership of the other business owners that have owned that property and have the dealerships along that strip.
Yeah, I'm not sure how, well, whatever. I can think of I hate to take that prime piece of real estate, of retail real estate, and use it. I mean, in every other town and city I've been through, those go, end of South Main Street, off of Route 8. Those go in completely away from retail intensive environments. This is our best retail strip in the city. And my feeling is, so these are, see, to me, my philosophy is, look, abatements are to assist in new businesses that have all the startup problems and concerns that every business has. So the city wants to, incentivize and help those new businesses to be successful and grow because it does benefit the city. But for existing very successful businesses to do this and acts, that seems to me an insult to all the other taxpayers in Torrington, to be blunt about it. I don't know how, I can't wordsmith it any sweeter than that, but it just, this is not something I'm inclined to approve, no, no.
Just a follow-up. So if other tax abatement requests that we've had, I feel like it was done prior to, and maybe I'm wrong, but, I feel like they've already started this project, so they're asking for the approval
Right, yeah.
after the fact. Am I
So
right?
if I may, the two most recent that have been brought to the city council is 225 Wyoming Avenue, which is the Luna Brook facility for memory care and I can't remember the term off the top of my head, assisted living. And they were probably in the 50% range of completion when they submitted their application and was presented to city council in September of 2024. They just got their CO at the end of July and have residents occupying it. That was approved. And then this is the other application. This project was started in 2024 with the demolition of the standing structure, and now there is a foundation poured, and they're getting ready to start the vertical construction portion.
And if I can just answer, I do appreciate that explanation. I'm in that review process. I will be the first one to admit my review was when the application had already been submitted. A lot of the work that William, or our Economic Development Office, does is to determine what is the projected tax revenue, what would the impact be if there was an abatement, what are we trying to accomplish with these tax incentives. I will be the first one to admit I was not thrilled to advance this request. For the same reasons that I'm hearing a number of the council members explain. This will not create jobs. This is a facility that is being built in the most desirable commercial strip in the city of Torrington. Yes, there is a tax increase because of the size of the building. However, I don't see that it's fulfilling a community need or benefit. As Mr. Wallach has explained, with it's after the fact, construction has already started. We do have some precedents with the assisted living or elderly living. The difference, I think, in that situation is it was providing a need. And when you are creating housing, the cost of carrying a building while there is a significant vacancy in the building is pretty substantial. So I believe that in the past, when there was a request as it relates to a tax abatement for housing, the attitude was the community need was overarching, and covering or helping defray the costs of covering that property through a period of vacancy was a concern. So I'm certainly, we have an odd number of council members. I'm certainly not anticipating that I have to break a tie on this one. But I did want to clarify for the record, when it talks about who reviewed this, it did come to me after quite a bit of the other review process. I did sit down with the city planner, and I also asked the city planner, how could the Planning and Zoning Commission approve this in that location? It just doesn't make sense. He did have an explanation, but I think that these are the opportunities that the council has to certainly not override any of those decisions, but to determine, does that decision benefit the taxpayers? And would this decision tonight benefit the taxpayers?
Yeah, if we could just frame it that these owners, they had a property, they're trying to utilize the property. It's far less than perfect than any of us would want. But they did choose to develop it here and not somewhere else. And you could look at the tax abatement as a lure to have it here and not out of town somewhere that may be more inexpensive for them to develop. So, yeah, so there is some subtleties there that we can provide an incentive without much impact to us. And we win in the long run by attracting those opportunities here to our city.
All right. If there are no other questions?
If I could, so
Yes.
the city's incentive, tax incentive policy does not require a vote today. Just to be clear, there's the 30 days to make a determination.
Thank you. All right. There's a motion on the floor and the discussion is closed. I'm going to call the vote.
Well, okay, can I have a motion to postpone to another meeting and have further discussions?
There's already a motion on the table. We have to vote on that first.
Make a second motion to table.
I'm hearing a second motion. I'm hearing a sub motion to table this. Is there a second to the motion? Motion fails.
No, are you seconding? Well,
No, no, I'm not. I'm prepared to vote right now. Be perfectly blunt.
okay.
All right, motion to table fails. I'll call this motion. So again, just to remind you what you're voting on. The motion was to approve the request for a tax abatement to 1355 East Main Street LLC. I'll call that all in favor of approving the request? And all opposed to approving the request?
Oppose, oppose.
So no.
All right, so it's unanimously opposed? Motion fails. All right, item number 10, I will entertain a motion to authorize the mayor to accept the Brownfield Revolving Loan Fund application and enter into an RLF contract with Safari Properties LLC for up to $169,000 to cover the remaining costs for completing Vinnie's Restaurant Brownfield project, as further explained in the Economic Development Director's memo dated August 18, 2025.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilwoman Spino.
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Waldron. Are there questions or comments on the motion?
So-
Councilwoman Spino.
This is a loan, so what are the terms and is there an interest rate that's been determined for the payback of this loan?
So there would be an interest rate that would be applied to the loan. Those terms have not been determined. In discussions with the mayor and the property owner, Safari Properties LLC, the general range for interest rate is about 3% is what we're anticipating. And this funding is intended to be in the form of like a bridge loan for the construction portion, which is just the 169,000, so terms less than 5 years. In discussion with the property owner, willing to consider lower interest rate for a quicker payback, and if needed more than 5 years, then the interest rate would increase incrementally with the length of time needed to pay back, with the goal of increasing our revolving loan fund size over time.
Thank you.
Are there other questions?
Yeah, just to be clear, this money is to be paid back by the owner of the property, correct?
Yes.
In total, right? The city's not assuming any of this $169,000 additional funds.
So, no, the $169,000 would be coming out of the city's revolving loan fund.
Right.
I think you'll recall back in 2013 and 2014, EPA provided a grant, and the city of Torrington, I know you don't remember that far. So the city of Torrington borrowed against that loan in an effort to save it. We used those funds to start cleaning up Franklin Street. Over the last 10 years, we've been paying the funds back into the account. We borrowed against it again. And right now, there is a balance in that account that affords us an opportunity to lend that money out
That's fine.
now to an external borrower. And as you heard Mr. Wallach explain, now we can charge interest
Mhm.
And we can dictate the terms, what is the interest rate? How long will it, be loaned out for? So yes, the city is going to be loaning the funds out,
Right.
and we will be collecting those funds back.
Yeah, no, to me, this seems like a very appropriate and smart way to utilize city funds to incentivize economic development within our city. So yeah, I definitely will support this.
Yeah. Other questions or comments?
I kind of want to know what the terms are before I agree to this. Can I make a sub-motion to table this until we have the terms?
Yeah. I have a motion to table pending explanation of what the terms of the loan would be.
I'll second it.
I have a motion to table. I have a second. No discussion on the motion to table. I think I just have to call it.
Yeah.
All in favor of tabling pending receipt of the terms?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? This motion carries. All right. Something we can work with Artie on over the next couple
Just a
of weeks.
question clarification for the terms you're looking for, just be the interest rate and the length of time?
Correct.
Yeah,
Great.
the exact
Thank you.
contract, right? That's what we're asking for?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to move on to item number 11. I will entertain motion to adopt resolution number 143-276, authorize the mayor to apply for the Department of Economic and Community Development for round, 22 municipal brownfield assessment only grant. This will be for property owned by Zeller, and it is for property assessment in the sum of $200,000.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Councilwoman Spino, seconded by Councilman Iveyne. And that resolution is in your board packets. And I think the only thing we're missing in this is maybe the property. Oh, it is. It's 52 Norwood. I probably should have read that into the motion. Heather, you'll just make sure that makes it into the motion for me. Thank you. Okay. So motion is made and seconded. Are there questions?
What's the history on the Zeller property?
So the Zeller properties at 52 Norwood Street used to be part of the Torrington Standard Plant. It was broken off in the 1960s, fell under a couple different organizations, one of them being Allied Corporation. Most recently, it's been purchased by the Zeller family. A lot of the properties used for tire storage. At one point, they utilized the property for tire retreading. It's a fascinating process I won't bore you with today, but it's very environmentally friendly. The facility has a lot of industrial use, over almost a century of use of industrial use, a lot of environmental contamination for which the city did a phase 1 and phase 2 environmental assessment in 2010 timeframe. The city paid for that using EPA funds. Those determined that more assessment work was needed. I reached out to the LEP who had conducted that assessment work, asked if we could just go straight to remediation dollars, and they gave a hard no that said it's not worth it right now. You need to do additional assessment to figure out what the extent of the remediation would be. There is a significant amount of hazardous building materials contained within the building. And then also that this assessment work will help define what a potential redevelopment use of the property is, of which right now it's just kind of unknown. It's either going to be strictly industrial, or if the assessment shows that we could do reasonable amount of remediation on the property, it opens the door for additional redevelopment purposes.
Okay. So the Zeller does not intend to repurpose the building for their uses, or are they?
No, they do not. So they're actually looking to potentially build other facilities for tire storage in other locations in the city.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? I'll call this motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Once we got William in the hot seat, we'll keep him there one more motion, or a couple more. So I will entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 143277, authorizing the mayor to apply to DECD for a round 22 municipal brownfield remediation and limited assessment grant for the Stone Hendy property remediation project for $6 million.
So moved.
Thank
Second.
you, Councilwoman Spino, seconded by Councilman Iveyne. And the floor is open to questions.
William, is this the whole property that's off Summer Street? There's multiple buildings over there. Is this a specific section of that, or is it everything?
Right, so there are two properties, one being 105 Summer Street, the other being 200 Litchfield Street. And we're applying the grant uniformly across both properties. In 2010 and then again in 2017, the city conducted pretty extensive environmental assessment work on both of the properties. The 2017 work was primarily on the 200 Litchfield Street. So if you're familiar with the property at all, it's the long, straight building. It's not the brick buildings that's the predominant factory area. The long, straight building alone has $1 million of abatement costs that they're estimating, and that's 2017 estimate. So I did talk to HRP. I'm going a little bit beyond your question, but I did talk to HRP, who conducted those 2017 assessments. Gave them a budget breakdown that I felt was appropriate. They gave me some feedback. They said they felt strongly that $6 million was the right number to go after. It's also the new maximum amount for brownfield applications starting around 22.
Thank you. What's the contamination specifically? Is there just one contaminant? Is multiple?
There's multiple contaminants that are common for industrial factories. You think if you try and put 3 or 4 letters together, you'll probably get it right. But one concern that is really going to be predominant is PCBs, which the building materials that are throughout probably or more than likely have PCBs. The thing about PCBs is that you do not test them until you're ready to remediate them. And so one, it's a very high cost just to test them to figure out what the contamination level is. And then it's also a very high cost to remediate and dispose of PCBs. So the unknown factor of that, it's a ballooning factor. Another thing is that in 2017, the state of Connecticut was not requiring testing for PFAS, which is forever chemicals. And so we would be required to do that additional testing, and to remediate PFAS can be wildly expensive as well.
Jesus. Yeah.
But worthwhile. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I grew up on Funston Avenue, up on the hill. And I can remember my second floor bedroom with my brothers. We had bunk beds. And when I was a kid, I'd look out and the smokestack, I always thought it was one of the most beautiful thing at night, seeing those billowing, flames. I thought it was so cool, not realizing, what was happening. So the $6 million is for, let me say, grant for, that's the actual tear down and remediation of the land itself, right?
No, so to be clear, this is not for any demolition. This would not be proposed for any demolition. The way it's proposed is to do the abatement, which before you can do any demolition, you have to abate all the hazardous building materials.
I'm sorry, within the buildings themselves, you're saying, or substrate?
So abatement is strictly asbestos, lead paint,
But within the
PCBs.
structures.
And then the remediation, that's a separate category. Remediation is everything from the ground below typically, and including groundwater remediation. It's
Okay.
kind of a technical,
No,
but important.
I understand the difference. So this $6 million will cover what exactly? Then just this?
So the intent of the $6 million is to clean up the entire property. So the buildings to be cleaned for either repurposing or for demolition, and to clean the ground soil and the groundwater to be reutilized for
Okay. all right,
another
all right,
purpose.
All right.
I think just for some additional background on this property, I'd like to have Corporation Counsel bring you up to speed. This is a piece of property, I think you all know, we have been exerting great efforts through blight enforcement. So there are a number of issues that are related to this property. And in light of the fact that we are in litigation, I thought Corporation Counsel should bring you up to speed before you vote.
Okay.
It's all yours.
There are 2 actions for foreclosure in the Litchfield Superior Court because there's 2 separate properties and 2 separate owners. And they're both LLCs, and the principal members of the LLC is the same individual, so kind of talking about the same person.
Hmm.
But 105 Summer Street is partially occupied by a company called Industrial Saws and Machining. And that's a tenant that's in there. The rest of it is really pretty much abandoned. 200 Litchfield Street is abandoned, except that there's some personal property there that the owner moved there that appears to maybe be some type of injection molding equipment or something, but never started a business there. So the plan at this point is, as far as the foreclosures of both of them, they're parallel tracks. But again, there's two separate actions, two separate owners, two separate parcels of property. We've ordered appraisals for both of them. I expect to have those appraisals probably in the next 3 to 4 weeks because the appraiser went on vacation last week. As soon as I have those appraisals, I will file motions for judgment in the Superior Court. Depending on how the appraisals come in, the court will be required to compare the fair market value of each parcel to the amount of the blight liens that are in place. Right now, I'd say as of today, the blight liens probably are pushing $500,000 on each parcel, not total, each one. So unless each property appraises for that or more, the judge would issue an order for strict foreclosure, which means that all the encumbrances, behind the city's blight lien, which takes priority over everything except taxes and sewer liens, they basically have to pay it off in inverse order of their interest. So the first law day would be for the owner of the property. And in order for them to redeem, is the legal technical term, they have to pay off everybody in front of them, including the city of Torrington. If they don't do that, then they're foreclosed out and there's next in line. And there really is nobody in line. There are no mortgages on either of these properties. So essentially, we're talking about the owner, the LLC, paying off the city blight liens in order to retain ownership of the property. So, we're kind of still a ways away. It's been a very interesting and complicated situation. At one point, a local attorney, the industrial saw individual wanted to buy 105 Summer Street. That hasn't happened, partly because the supposed lawyer for the LLC that owns it recently told the local attorney representing the industrial saws fella that I don't represent him. So, there's really nothing happening there. But the bottom line is if everything moves forward in the normal course, then ultimately I believe the judge in the Superior Court will issue orders of strict foreclosure. And at that point, again, assuming that the LLC does not redeem, which they could if they wanted to, then the city will own the property. But it doesn't yet. And a lot could happen. The LLC, the person who's behind the LLCs could defend. He hasn't even appeared at this point, so he's been defaulted. The company has been defaulted for failure to appear. If either the corporation enters its appearance, and they'd have to do that through an attorney at this point, because an LLC can't appear pro se. If an appearance is filed, then the clerk will automatically vacate the default, and we do the next step, which probably would be a motion for default for failure to plead, because they haven't filed any pleadings. So the point is, a lot depends on whether the principles behind both of these companies, and I misspoke, one of them's an LLC, one of them's a corporation, one of them is organized in New York, one of them's organized in Connecticut. If they step forward and really start to defend this, they could drag it out, they could challenge the blight liens, maybe the amounts, but the person never took an appeal from the citations that were issued. So it's been an interesting journey with these two properties.
Yeah.
The city frankly was hoping that the sale would happen because the individual, the industrial saw person appears to be a great tenant. He's spent a lot of money himself on the portion of 105 Summer Street that he occupies. It would be good to get that property, in somebody's hands other than the company that owns it now. So this is kind of an anticipatory thing, I think, that Mr. Wallach is presenting, because right now the city doesn't own the property. And I don't really know the details of, this program itself, but I would imagine the city has to own it at some point.
So that is a good question. So part of the brownfield application distinctly questions who is the current property owner and what is the applicant, the city of Torrington, doing to partner with that that property owner, or to attain ownership? So that is really the question. And the answer to that question is that the city in January filed for foreclosure against the property and the property owners, and that it's filed in the Superior Court with the process to carry out. I think one other important thing is that in June of this year, the city submitted a CIF application, a planning application for the public safety complex planning project in order to do site determination for future public safety complex, of which this property was identified as a potential location for a future site. That's my drive to go after this remediation and abatement grant funding in order to continue with the foreclosure proceedings. If the city takes ownership of it, then to be able to actively pursue the remediation, get a cleaned up property that could then be a viable use for future public safety complex, should it align with the feasibility requirements.
Other questions or comments? And I do, again, just as the council knows, this is a property that has had our eyeballs on it for a very long time. I'm going to go back 8 years, maybe 9 years ago. We applied for assessment grants. We got fairly far along in the assessment of the Hendy piece. That's the piece that runs along the railroad tracks. The funds ran out when there was considerable work to be done in the boiler room, where it was discovered or determined that it was friable asbestos, which was going to require additional funds. We did seek additional funds to do more assessment work. That's when property transferred to the current owner, who pretty much did not return our phone calls for a number of years, and we did return the last grant funds as a result of that. My attitude has always been, if the state gives us money, we put that money to work, and if we can't put the money back to work, it would be returned to the state. I think the strength in this application is the state knows this property, they've already invested in this property, and they know how serious the city of Torrington is in taking control of this property and putting it back into useful purposes. Its site is along the railroad track. Its location in the downtown area and in an MDP area, I think all speaks to how important this is to the city of Torrington and to the west end of the city of Torrington in particular.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I think the 6 million is going to come up pretty short, actually.
Yeah, well.
There's there's so much contamination there, generational contamination.
Mhm. All right, any other questions for William or for Corporation Counsel? Then I'm going to call this motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, one more. I will entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 143-278, authorizing the mayor to apply to a DECD for Round 22 Brownfield Area-Wide Revitalization Planning Grant. This is to activate Main Street Bar Planning Project. It is in the amount of $200,000 with a match or commitment from the city of $20,000. This will be paid from the City of Torrington Brownfield Capital Projects Fund. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Iveyne.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Spino. And the floor is open for questions.
Can you give us an overview of this planning?
Yeah, absolutely. So in 2018, the city completed its first BAR planning grant. So BAR is Brownfield Area-Wide Revitalization. That was generally focused towards the 100 Franklin Street Penrose project. It also included the Hendy property, which we just talked about. Also included the 100 Franklin Drive. Out of that BAR planning grant, 2018 became a brownfield strategy for the city of Torrington. And Torrington, in my opinion, humble opinion, has been hitting home runs on that brownfield strategy ever since, with both the completed projects, but also the projects that are currently in the pipeline. We have, I think, 7 right now, current brownfield projects that my office is working on. And now we've got 3 more here already primed to go forward with. The second BAR planning grant that we just wrapped up in March of this year was the Embracing Our Legacy Brownfield BAR planning for the Brunswick property up at 535 Midget Avenue. It also includes the Forbes School, some analysis on that, and then the Naugatuck River north parcel along the Naugatuck River. Trying to get some expansion of the Naugatuck River Greenway Trail. That brownfield grant, also part of the brownfield strategy, enabled us to go after additional grant funding. It's brought along some investor and developer interest in the property. And then it's kind of given us a pathway to both cleaning up the north parcel and creating that into trails, and then redeveloping the main Brunswick factory area. This is a continuation of the larger brownfield strategy. The Activate Main region is generally from Main Street, starting at the river, so the Sophia Building project, going up Water Street, including the Hotchkiss area, where the Hotchkiss Mill was, and then kind of shooting north up to 59 Field Street, the Excelsior Building, Excelsior Needle Building, continuing on up to the Torrington Company, including 52 Norwood Street, which we mentioned just a minute ago, and then wrapping all the way up around Town Fair Tire and that open parcel up there, coming back down Main Street and including Ray's Service, which is the auto body service on Main Street, the dry cleaner on Main Street, a couple other properties that the city's acquired in the past, including the bowling alley right next to Walgreens. It's not a bowling alley anymore. And so all of those is potential brownfield locations, coming all the way, basically all the way back down to where it started at the Sophia Building. In total, there's, I think, 5 active brownfields in this property, in this area. There's 4 identified brownfields, and there's between 5 and 7 additional potential brownfields. There's a lot of brownfields in this area. It's just around a half mile square that we're talking about total. A lot of brownfields located within. The goal of the planning project is to both incorporate those active brownfields and work towards maximizing the potential for them. So we talked about the 52 Norwood Street property, the Zello property earlier, not knowing what the end repurpose of that. If we tie the assessment work that's done with market study, market analysis for that type of building, what could be used to revitalize that type of building, it's that planning piece that goes along with those brownfields that we're actively working on. I'll touch on Ray's Service, which is on Main Street. The owner of Ray's Service is looking to expand. He's been looking to expand for a long time. He was in my office just a few weeks ago, and I said, have I got an opportunity for you, pending city council approval, of course, that, you know, this brownfield area-wide planning grant paints a picture for you to go and complete that expansion, to do a phase 1 assessment and figure out what the contaminants are, what the history is. So long answer, but essentially what it is to look to figure out how all the brownfields within the Main Street area that I just explained can be maximized in the revitalization and the redevelopment that we're looking to do. There's also a huge public engagement piece that we can use the state funding for to really broaden our ability to do that public engagement and get input. I know Nate mentioned earlier that public engagement is a huge part of the urban forestry thing. I said thing, I didn't mean to minimize what he's doing. but to incorporate all of those aspects of what we're doing within the city into a more collaborative effort and not just these individual grants that are tackling very important issues. Just turn the mic off. I hope I answered your question.
I forgot the question. Sorry. I think the only thing that I'm going to add to that long answer, when William speaks of the 2 prior bar grant applications we've had, I think, again, the state has been so impressed with how we put their money to work. When we took the $200,000 to do the bar grant for Franklin Street, Franklin Plaza, and we ended up with, 60 housing units. We ended up with job creation, an increase in tax revenue, an increase in commerce on the Franklin Plaza, and considerable municipal investment in the streetscapes. They look at all of that. What is the return on their investment? I think that we've demonstrated the ability to plan well, use their funds, develop a really solid plan, and then pick off those pieces we know that we can activate pretty quickly. So if there are no other questions on this, I will call the motion. We're good. I'll call it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And this is an exciting project. I think you'll all enjoy this one. All right, we're moving on to item 14. I will entertain a motion to accept the building department report for the month of July 2025. Thank you, Councilwoman
Second.
Spino, seconded by Councilman Iveyne. Are there questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 15, I'll entertain a motion to accept the recommendation of the tax collector.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Waldron, seconded by Councilman Iveyne. Questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 16, I'll entertain a motion to accept the recommendation of the tax collector, authorizes sewer use refunds.
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Councilman Waldron, seconded by Councilman Iveyne. Questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 17, I'll entertain a motion to consider business by department heads.
Moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Councilman Spino, seconded by Councilman Iveyne. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Going back, anything else this evening? Mr. Wallach?
Just one thing, on this Thursday at 6 p.m., we'll be hosting in this room our annual economic development kind of update, what's going on. I did one August when I came on. This one will be way better because more time on road about. So August 21st, which is Thursday at 6 p.m.
Thank you, William. Anything this evening, Mr. Towsey? Okay. I can't see behind the,
There's nobody there.
thank you. Anything from the city clerk's office? No. Anything from Corporation Council?
No, Madam Mayor.
Yankee
Thank
Peddler
you.
Inn? Could you do Yankee Peddler Inn?
Oh, Yankee Peddler. Oh, okay. So the short story is, a while ago, the receiver, through their attorney, Kevin Nelligan, filed a motion with the Superior Court to approve the sale of the Yankee Peddler to a developer that had been identified through a request for proposal process that was spearheaded by Val Farrow, who's the project manager. So that motion was pending. The elements of that motion, the court under the statute should approve that, provided that the property owner had not moved to terminate the receivership, and that the property owner had to provide adequate assurances to the court that it could complete the remediation of the property. So I think it was 2 days before the hearing on the motion, maybe 4 days before the hearing on the motion to sell the property owner's attorney filed a motion to terminate the receivership. So that stalled things because the court, of course, had to deal with that motion before it could deal with the motion for sale. We had 2 different days of hearings, one, I don't know, full day, one half day, but we had a lot of hearings, a lot of testimony, and ultimately the court denied the motion to terminate the receivership. So that's a very small victory. There's still a ways to go. So the hearing continued. There was some additional testimony then taken on the receiver's motion to sell. And that hearing then, though, was continued to September 24th to accommodate different lawyers and witnesses, vacations and things. So we're back in court September 24th. These hearings have been remote. If anybody is interested, there's a Zoom link. They're all open to the public. You could log on and watch if you wanted to. And we're moving forward, and we're very optimistic about the motion and what the judge will do with the motion. The judge has shown herself to be very, very skeptical of anything that the owner, Jason Hospitality says. Very skeptical of anything its lawyer says. Seems to be very impressed with Mayor Carbone, with the project manager. You know, we've had some great witnesses testify. So I'm anticipating that that motion ultimately will be decided in favor of the receiver, and the receiver will order the sale. The proposed purchaser is a company called Parker Benjamin, which has offices in multiple states and has developed similar properties in the sense of historic properties, some factory buildings, warehouse buildings. And they really kind of shown through. It was, again, request for proposal process, and they, rose to the top of that. So that's where we are. Back in court on September 24th. Whether we'll finish that day, I don't know. Whether the attorney for Jason Hospitality will try to throw up other roadblocks, I don't know. They recently filed a motion for a court order allowing them to have inspectors and appraisers access the property because they asked for the receiver's consent and the city's consent to do that, and we said no. It's too late for that. That's long past. So that motion is on a short calendar. Today I filed an objection to that motion, essentially saying it's moot because it really was in connection with financing. They were arguing that, well, we're lining up financing, and in order to do that, we need to have an appraisal done and we need to have inspectors done because there's environmental issues. And so my motion essentially said the financing was part of their motion to terminate the receivership, and that's been decided. That's all, that's done. What the court will do with that motion, I don't know. Again, the way this judicial system works, it shows up on a short calendar, somebody has to mark it ready, and then you get a notice of when you're going to have the hearing. I would think in this case, the judge who's overseeing the case, Judge Lynch, would just say she would deal with that. I mean, she could just deny it, dismiss it out of hand based on my objection, or she could say, we'll talk about that on September 24th, that there won't be a separate hearing for that. So that's where it stands today. Again, the denial of the motion to terminate the receivership was a positive thing. That's a good step. The motion to approve the sale, I think we're on really solid ground with that. And even if we overcome whatever roadblocks they may try to throw up, and the court does grant that, they can always appeal. And whether they will or not, it's anybody's guess. So my view is we're still a long way away. I would be really pleased if the litigation part was over by the end of the mayor's term. The development itself, of course, won't be. That's going to be a years-long process. But if we can at least get to the finish line with the Superior Court case is over, either there's no appeal or an appeal also is over. Although frankly, if they do appeal it to the appellate court, it's unlikely that would be resolved by the end of the year. But that's where we're at.
Well, what's your best guess, either of you? Why are they holding on to it? What do they expect to gain? That if economic development takes off in 2 or 3 years, it'll be worth 3 times what it is now? What are they?
It's really hard to figure it out.
Yeah,
And we
all right.
really have no idea why they've dug in their heels so hard. And, the other unusual thing is they've been paying their taxes. But frankly, because of the condition of the property, the taxes aren't that much, really.
They're paying all their legal fees.
Yeah.
I mean, it's costing them a
You
lot of
know,
money. to
I
hold
know,
on.
and
Just
we
don't take
can't,
that
for
down.
the
All right.
life of us,
Fair enough.
we can't figure it out.
Unbelievable.
Thinking, why don't you just walk away from this?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So, but we really don't really have any idea what their motivation is.
And I think the only thing I would add to that is, and only because it is a public record, it was, part of the testimony in the trial back in 2023. This property owner, Jason Hospitalities, at some point along the way between acquisition of the property, demolition of the property, and its multiple efforts to obtain financing, accepted a grant, and I believe it was a federal grant, that afforded them an opportunity to hire immigrants to provide workforce training on the project. And it was specifically tied to this project. And, I had completely forgotten about that coming up in testimony during the trial back in 2023. But to that question, the very question that you've asked, Councilman, we're scratching our head. We're saying, what is it? The only thing I can think of is that grant somehow must be tied to the completion of the project. And, would they be required to pay that back? Those are the things that we just don't know. That's not part of the testimony or evidence that gets put in on these kinds of hearings. I also just want to share that because the city of Torrington and the Torrington Development Corporation are so wedded in the litigation here, as you heard Corporation Counsel explain, the city of Torrington was really the one, is the plaintiff in this action, and it was, the burden was on us to dispute or to provide evidence as to why the termination request should be denied. Corporation Counsel did an excellent job, and not only in debunking their allegations or assertions that they had a commitment letter, but also getting enough evidence and record about their ability to complete the project. There's a phrase you use, and I can't remember. It's
Adequate assurances.
adequate assurances. So the hearings are long. Some of the information is very dry that gets presented, but it's all very intentional so that if there is an appeal, we've really loaded the record with what we need. So it's a lot of work, and a lot of time has been dedicated out of Corporation Counsel's office and Torrington Development Corporation, who's been at the table with us. I did have a meeting with TDC Executive Board earlier today. They are prepared to make a presentation to the council on the status, because as the council will recall, some of the funding for litigation and property stabilization did come out of our blight funds. This council did afford up to $60,000. So I thought it was, to one of the earlier comments from Councilman Cavanero, it'd be nice to get a report back. How are those funds used? Where's the return on the investment? So we're arranging to have them come back perhaps the second meeting of September and prepare a presentation.
Great, look forward to that.
Thank you. And all your efforts are appreciated on this project. So thank you.
Yeah, it's an important building to all of us.
Yes.
All right, anything else from Corporation? You-
No, thank you.
All right, sorry, he missed the Little League game. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
World Series. I'm going to move right into business by mayor and members. Dean, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Councilman Spino, second by Councilman Iveyne. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? To my left with the Councilman Cavanero.
Yes, Mary.
Yes.
I see from this letter from Pullman and Comley, since this was presented during a city council meeting, I assume this is public record now, public document? Is that correct?
Oh, yes, yes,
Yes, it is. Okay.
yes.
Can we get this in? I would like to access some of these links here, but I don't want to type this in. Can we get an electronic version of this if there's not one, or just the links themselves?
Yes, I did receive that electronically. I can provide those links.
Okay.
But I do think, as you will see in there, they are looking for a response from the city before October 5th, I believe it is.
Can you identify where this is, Mayor? This,
Do you have it?
how many acres do they want to do now? Totally, no,
Oh, October 4th.
Yeah.
So the last,
18 acres?
yeah, the last sentence on page 1, should you wish to provide any feedback regarding this project, we'd appreciate hearing from you on or before October 4th, 2025. So our council, Bruce McDermott, we had a conference with him late last week to discuss this. He does think that, he does recommend, highly recommend that we respond with our objection to the project moving forward. He specifically said it would be very helpful if it was more than not in my backyard. So what we can do is we'll put together a letter that will itemize those reasons. You know, we're overburdened by the vast number of solar arrays that already exist in the city of Torrington. You know, the impact, the negative impact on the neighborhood, the character of the neighborhood, and we'll put together a list of why.
Housing values within the city itself, you know, for which there's no compensation.
Yes, yeah. So we will bring back a letter that the council can
Fantastic.
take a vote on, and then we can forward that.
That's great, thank you. But can you just identify where the 19.6 acres is that they're,
Says
Suppose-
located south of West Hill Road.
Yeah.
This is, yeah,
There's a lot of maps that have been provided.
okay,
That
but
you-
just in
West Hill-
general, I'm trying to think of where
up,
this is.
up by West Hill Pond, West Hill Road, off of Torringford Street.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, sounds beautiful.
Well,
Yeah.
to be a little more precise, if I may, Madam Mayor, so when you turn onto West Hill Road
Yeah.
off of 183.
Yep.
Probably maybe a quarter to a half mile in on the right.
Yeah.
So it's that end close to 183
Yeah, it sounds like a perfect piece of property to ruin.
with solar arrays. What I would also suggest is, with the previous one on Lover's Lane, right, I think Ray Drew did a letter,
He did,
you
yes,
did a letter.
yes.
I mean, there, as the mayor said, there's information that I think that the mayor's office can provide you to
Okay.
incorporate. And I guess the question is, will it be one letter signed by all the council members, or want to have them individually send it? And encourage all your neighbors as well.
Okay,
What was interesting to me recently, actually today, I received a copy of a letter. So whenever the siting council gets information, they've been sending me copies, and they send it to Attorney McDermott. And a letter today was from a woman in Watertown. And she actually, I saw a little while ago, had sent a letter into the Republican American that they published on their editorial page. Basically just saying, why are you cutting down all the trees? We need the trees.
Yeah.
And she sent that letter to the siting council. So to the extent that people can write into the siting council, showing their opposition, and it doesn't have to be technical at all. You know, the technical stuff, the science and all that, there's experts who provide information
Yeah.
about that.
well, I'm really concerned to see what this bottom link is here, which, you know, it's saying the siting council docket. I'm wondering if
Yeah.
this is kind of the thing that we've been,
This is, so those,
The whole docket.
that is the whole docket. So if you've ever pulled up a siting council docket or a judicial court case, everything that has ever been filed in connection with that application is there.
yeah. that's-
And it's a link, and you can read from, you know, the date, the application,
Okay.
these letters have to be entered onto the record. It's a good, good night's read,
Distribution is around Western Connecticut,
Yeah.
right?
north, certainly Litchfield County.
Yeah.
One more thing I'll point out is the reason you got those letters, and this is an example where hiring outside counsel, big difference for us as opposed to Lover's Lane, where we didn't do that then. That kind of took us by surprise. Attorney McDermott raised issues. He filed a motion to dismiss the petition with the siting council, arguing that under the statute, they were required to consult with the city council and local legislators, and that they didn't do that. And Lodestar is the name of the company. Their response was, well, we sent them letters, I don't know, a year ago. We sent them letters and said, if you want any information, contact us. And the siting council agreed with Attorney McDermott and said that wasn't good enough. You need to reach out to them, you know, and really make an effort to reach out to them so you get input from them. So that's why you all got those letters now. So the benefit again of Attorney McDermott, knowing really the ins and outs and how does the siting council work, has already paid dividends, if for nothing else. I mean, it's hard to predict what the ultimate outcome will be. But he certainly is delaying things.
Yeah.
And showing them that we're serious, the city is serious about opposing it.
Yeah,
Um,
there's a lot that feels like a positive step
Yeah.
in this notification.
Mhm,
So thank you
mhm.
for
Yeah.
your efforts there, Mike. Michael.
Thank you. All right, Councilwoman Spino.
Just to add to that too, maybe it'd be beneficial to have the fire marshal look at this property too and consider, what if something happens? I mean, this is all the way on the other end of town, Winston line, right?
New Hartford, New
New
Hartford
Hartford
line.
line.
Yes.
And, what would the response time be? How would they be able to respond to an incident up
So
there?
that could be another letter, a letter from the fire
Yeah.
marshal.
I was thinking
Fire.
like-
Yeah, I think.
We're gonna load them with responses for reasons that this shouldn't happen here. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's an
Going into
excellent
squeaky
suggestion. I
wheel
appreciate
mode,
that.
Mayor?
Sorry.
We will go into squeaky wheel mode.
Squeaky wheel, yeah, screaming, screeching.
Let's start looking elsewhere. Listen.
And,
Yeah.
just another note, the newsletter, I love it. Thank you. Great job.
Just to add to that, taking of agricultural land, which we saw 3 projects already, taking agricultural land that's eroding out of this area, that loss is not easy to replace. And there's an agricultural commission at the state level that's opposed to usage of those areas like this. And there's ways that other states have adopted to be farm friendly and also utilize solar. So we should, as a state, adopt some rules around that so we don't have a total agricultural loss. Thank
Duly
you.
noted. Yeah, it's anything you can think of. And if it occurs to you, later on, certainly send us an email. We'll make sure that we include those. Anything else from Councilman Iveyne, Councilman Waldron?
Nothing from me, Mayor. Thanks.
All right, well then, we have one final agenda item. I will entertain a motion to
Don't
open the
forget eight.
meeting.
She's off.
Oh, she's off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and for the record, I'm sure you saw, it. She did leave at 7:14. Yes, yeah,
Okay.
I did make a note of that. All right, so final item, I'll entertain a motion to open the meeting to the public. Thank you, Councilwoman Spino.
Second.
Second by Councilman Iveyne. All in favor?
All right.
Any opposed? Is there anyone from the public? You don't count. Sure, yeah. You want to say something?
You're leaving.
The farmland comment triggered a thought in my head. Also on August 21st is Thursday at 10 a.m. We're hosting a massive delegation up at the CT Food for Thought location up on Technology Park Drive to support our $8 million CIF application because the money makes sense in Torrington and the agricultural hydroponic work that they're doing there to triple fold their revenue. It's a great project and just wanted to reiterate 10 a.m. Thursday morning. Thank you.
Thank you, William. Okay, there being no further business before the board, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Spino, seconded by Councilman Iveyne. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.